Hello, gardening friends. Welcome to the Calyx Garden. I am Thelma, and I want to start off with a quick question. How many of you would dare to tell me what's the most important ingredient to the success of your garden? Well, I'm sure the answer would vary, but as far as we're concerned here in the Calyx Garden, our key to success really is what we put in the pot or what we put into the bed. And we're referring to the plant media. And that's the topic of today's video. So we were asking you please to keep watching. Thanks for staying. Now, plant media. What do we mean by plant media? So as the plant is concerned, it is any material in which the plant is growing. And this could be air, could be water, but in the case of our standard garden propagation and growing of plants, we're looking at physical materials. Now, so the plant mixture that we would recommend is one that has a good mixture, a good combination of inorganic materials as well as organic materials. And I'll be sharing with you the three standard organic materials we use as well as the standard inorganic materials. And we select these materials based on what they bring to the mix, the results that we expect, as well as the cost, and most importantly, the availability. So what I'm going to do is discuss the attributes of each of these materials, and at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you how we combine these materials into our three standard mixes. So lots to do, so let me get to it. I'm going to start with the inorganic materials, and I have four of them before me. Soil is the most natural growing medium for plants. It contains nutrients, and in many cases, it's relatively inexpensive. However, there are some disadvantages to using soil because when it is removed from its natural location, it tends to become compacted over time, resulting in drainage problems in the pots. Another disadvantage of using soil is that most soils contain pests and pathogens, which will result in diseases such as root rot, as well as the other issue would be weed seeds. So it is not really an ideal media for growing plants in containers. If you decide to use soil in your media formulation, it's best to select a sandy loam, as its sandy loams are free draining, relatively light, and have some organic matter in them, and they do not become compacted as quickly as clay soils would. It's also recommended that you sterilize the soil to kill pathogens and weed seeds before adding it to the media mixture. And what I do in sterilizing small quantities of soil is putting it in the oven for about 30 minutes at about 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And that will kill most pathogens. Turning to the other inorganic material here on the table, washed river sand. This is silica sand mined from riverbeds and washed to remove soil and silt. When added to other media, sand improves drainage and infiltration, but it does not add any nutrients. Another disadvantage of sand is that it makes the media rather heavy. This gravel we use to add drainage and a bit of bulk. This material here is a commercially available store-bought media. It's complete in and of itself. It contains vermiculite and perlite primarily. It is lightweight, it's inert, and is supposedly sterile. It has good moisture holding capacity, very few, if any, nutrients, and a neutral pH. Compost is like black gold to the gardener. I'll share a link on the screen so you can see how we make compost in the Calyx garden. This product, it helps to improve the internal structure of media. It improves the moisture holding capacity and also helps to release nutrients more slowly to the plants. So all in all, compost is one of the most important ingredients in our potting media. Charcoal is also a sterile ingredient in a potting mix. It is lightweight and it is added in many cases to improve the air quality in the rooting zone. And the last material I have here on the table is cocoa peat. We know it also as coir dust. It is the product that is produced when you grind dried coconut husk. It has many advantages as a plant media. It is lightweight, sterile, neutral pH, and holds a lot of moisture. But don't expect it to add any nutrients. It is inert. It does not have any nutrients in it. Now that I've introduced the respective components in our various mixes, it's time to show you the ratios. That is how much of each item go into various mixes. And at the outset, I did say we have 3 standard mixes, and that's because I'd forgotten about the propagation mix. So here it is. And what I've done now to make it easier to show you the combinations is just to apportion them by volume. And usually when we give ratios, it's by volume, not weight. So for example, the propagation mix is a combination of 2 parts of coir dust. It could also be 2 parts of vermiculite, as long as it's a lightweight component that is sterile, and 1 part of washed river sand. And again, you could also use perlite instead of river sand, because this provides the drainage and this provides the water holding capacity. This other mixture here we make with no nutrients. We refer to it as the soilless mix or sometimes the inert mix. And it's a combination of equal parts of charcoal, gravel, and cocoa chunks. Now I did the combination beforehand because it was easier to do that. This general mix is for plants that are going to be used outdoors, and we can put in some soil in it because soil is available to most of us, and the soil also provides some nutrients and the ability to support, physical support for the plant. The other 2 components, this is compost, and again you can replace the compost with vermiculite, and the sand is for drainage. So this is a general mix that we use for plants positioned outdoors. Use a lighter mix for plants indoors, and it consists of 2 parts of vermiculite, 1 part of compost, and 1 part of sand. The next step really is quite simple, the mixing of them into a uniform mix, and I will do that silently off camera. Here are the 4 plant media formulations. The formulation earmarked for indoor potted plants looks quite rich, doesn't it? It's not too heavy. It's definitely lighter than the outdoor formulation. The inert media is also lighter than the outdoor formulation. I should mention that this inert media is suitable for orchids, bromeliads, as well as anthuriums. This last formulation, which has equal parts of cocoa peat and coarse sand, is suitable as a propagation media, both for seeds and stem cuttings. And now I'm going to do a drainage test to see how free draining each of these formulations is. The results of the drainage test, not surprising, the indoor mix shrunk to a large extent. That's because of the vermiculite content, and it very well draining. The outdoor media that has some soil in it did not shrink as much, and that is because of the nature of soil. And it is also free draining. The propagation media retained more moisture than the inert media, and that's because of the characteristic of cocoa peat, which does retain the water. But because there's sand in the mix, It allows for a fair amount of drainage so that the media won't remain soggy. And the last media, the one with no moisture holding capacity, very little moisture holding capacity, drain out very quickly, and the moisture holding capacity we're hoping will come from the chunks of the cocoa peat. So, essential components of your mixture, they should be well drained, they should have a component that retain moisture, they should be sterile, and of course they should provide the physical support for the plants that are intended to be grown in them. So there you have it, the materials we always try to have on hand so we can adjust our plant media depending on what we're doing. And for those of you who may be wondering, why am I here in the front garden when we're talking about plant media? After all, the reason why we try to have the appropriate plant media is so that you will have success in your garden and produce beautiful, healthy plants. If you like the content that we just provided on how to make your appropriate potting media, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And for those of you who may not have subscribed as yet, we're asking you please to do so because it encourages us to look around, see what other topics we have that we can share with you. So until the next video, I am Thelma in the brilliant morning sunshine in our front garden saying, have a great day, take care, bye-bye.